Global Heights Consulting wasn't the kind of place you stumbled into. It was a fortress in Victoria Island with mirrored glass windows that reflected the ambitions of those who worked within. From the parking lot, you could spot the luxury sedans, Mercedes, Range Rovers, a Bentley here and there, all lined like soldiers outside a war camp. Inside, it was quiet, too quiet. But beneath the stillness, politics, pressure, power. At the top of this empire was the 21st floor, the executive suite, where the air smelled of imported orchids and million-dollar stress. And at the center of it all was Ivy Okonkwo. Tall, graceful, and sharp as a fresh blade. 28. Single and not searching. A single mother to a 6-year-old daughter, Zara. She didn't just work hard, she commanded her space. Head of innovation, with accolades from Dubai to Berlin, she was the kind of woman who made people sit straighter when she walked into a room. Got it loud and clear. The hum of the air conditioner was the only sound in the glass office outside. The city buzzed with horns and hurried footsteps, but in here, it was silence, cool and controlled. Just the way Ivy liked it. She sat behind a minimalist oak desk, framed by shelves of neatly labeled project binders and framed awards. The skyline behind her was Lagos in full display, concrete ambition under a haze of heat. Ivy held a blue Mont Blanc pen loosely in her fingers as her eyes scanned the latest proposal on her screen. Her brows furrowed not at the numbers, but at the name on the attached memo, Tunde Balogun. The familiar heat pooled behind her eyes. She leaned back in her chair, exhaled, and reached for the button on her intercom. "Temi," she said, voice calm, measured. Her assistant's voice crackled through. "Yes, Ma? Can you get me the original document Tunde submitted to legal? I need to compare versions." "Right away." She released the button and sat there for a moment longer, letting her gaze drift to the city. She could still remember the first day she stepped into Global Heights Consulting 7 years ago, clutching a laptop bag and hopes sharper than her heels. She had climbed hard. And now they wanted to act like she didn't deserve the position she had built herself for. Executive Director of Strategy. She tilted her head, lips tightening. An hour later Temi walked in quietly, file in hand, and shut the door behind her. "Here it is, Ma." Ivy took it, flipped it open, and immediately spotted the differences. Whole sections reworded. Subtle, but clever. Tunde was good, she'd give him that. But he was also strategic. The kind of man who smiled while he rearranged the table in his favor. "Thank you, Temi," she said, setting the file aside. Temi lingered. "Ma." "Yes. Do you think the board will give him the role?" Ivy raised her eyes to the young woman. She saw something there, hope, maybe even fear. There weren't many women at the top, and the ones who got close were either pushed off the ladder or told they didn't fit the image. "I think," Ivy said slowly, "that whatever happens, I won't go down quietly." Temi smiled, a quiet kind of admiration in her eyes. "That's why we're all rooting for you, Ma." Later that evening, the rain had started somewhere between Lekki Phase 1 gate and her front door. Fat drops beat against the windshield of her Lexus as she pulled into the compound. A uniformed guard in a green raincoat waved her in. Inside, the living room smelled like lavender and freshly cooked egusi. "Mummy." Zara's voice rang out as the little girl threw herself into Ivy's arms the second she entered. Her cheeks were soft, warm against the cold of the rain. "Hi, baby. You smell like lots of delicious plantain," Ivy said, lifting her up. "Because I ate 10. Zara giggled, proudly holding up 4 sticky fingers. Ivy smiled, carrying her toward the couch. The nanny, Rose, appeared with a napkin, wiping Zara's hands. "You're spoiling her," Ivy said gently. "She's just a small madam," Rose replied with a shrug. Ivy let out a soft laugh, then sighed and rubbed her forehead. Her body was here, but her mind was still in that glass office, still locked in silent war with a man who refused to play fair, or perhaps played too fairly, too charmingly. Rose noticed. "You okay, Ma?" Ivy hesitated. "Just work. Please get my food ready," she said, strolling into her room lazily. Later that night, Ivy sat on the rug with Zara while they colored together. The TV played some cartoon in the background, but Zara was focused on her drawing. "Mummy, do you have a best friend?" Ivy paused. She thought about it. I used to. Why not now? Because, sometimes grown-ups don't have time for friends. Zara frowned. That's not nice. Do you talk to anyone at work? Ivy smiled faintly. Not really. Zara looked up. Maybe that's why you're always tired. Ivy stared at her for a moment, something soft flickering in her chest. It was easy to forget how wise children could be. Meanwhile, somewhere in Banana Island, Tunde sat across from his mother in the family sitting room, eating jollof rice laced with prawns and diced peppered beef. His younger sister, Dara, sat beside him, scrolling through TikTok. Their mother, elegant in a wine-colored kaftan, dabbed her mouth with a serviette. "So this woman, this Ivy, you say she's your competition?" she asked. Tunde took a sip of his malt before answering. "Not just competition. She's the biggest threat to the position." His mother leaned in slightly. "Then you neutralize her." Tunde blinked. "It's not that kind of war, Mum. Everything in Lagos is that kind of war, Tunde. Either she gets the seat, or you do." He was quiet for a while. Dara piped up. "Or you two could just get married and share it." They all laughed, except Tunde. A flicker crossed his face. He didn't know where it came from, but the image stuck for a second. Ivy, not as the competition, but something else entirely. The next morning broke with a soft golden hue over Lagos. The city was already waking, generators humming, danfos honking, security whistles blowing like birdsong. Inside her quiet Lekki home, Ivy was already dressed. A fitted grey pantsuit, low heels, nude lipstick. Clean, sharp, professional. She looked at herself in the mirror and pulled her hair back into a bun. No distractions today. Downstairs, Zara sat at the dining table, still in her pajamas, poking at her cereal. "Zara, eat quickly," Ivy called out, adjusting the strap of her bag. "Mummy, why don't you wear earrings?" Ivy paused at the bottom of the stairs. "Because they distract." "From what?" "From what I say," she said jokingly. Zara blinked, then nodded as though she understood everything about adult logic. "Okay. I'll not wear earrings when I'm a boss too." Ivy chuckled and kissed her forehead. "You'll be the best boss. Better than you." Zara teased, giggling. "Of course, baby." At Global Heights Consulting at 9:12 a.m. The elevator doors opened with a quiet chime. Ivy stepped out into the 12th floor, where glass offices gleamed, and silence hung heavy like wealth. The company was the kind of place where no one raised their voice, but everyone sharpened their knives behind closed doors. Temi was already at her desk. "Good morning, Ma. HR just sent an update. The board meets Friday to decide." Ivy nodded. "Friday. 3 days to war. Tunde is presenting at the management brief today." Ivy paused. "Whose slot?" "Yours." She raised a brow. "Interesting." Temi looked nervous. "Do you want me to email the board?" "No," Ivy said calmly. "I'll be at the presentation." By 10:30 the management brief began. The boardroom was glass-walled, sleek and intimidating. Inside, department heads sat around the long oval table, sipping bottled water and murmuring about budget cuts and client accounts. Tunde stood at the far end, his jacket off, sleeves rolled up, confidence pouring from every motion. "If we recalibrate our client strategy and reduce low-yield touchpoints by just 15%, we'll save nearly N$170 million by Q2. A few heads nodded. Someone murmured, "Impressive." Ivy sat at the opposite end, legs crossed, pen tapping silently. She had to admit, Tunde wasn't just charming, he was good. But there was something about how he smiled when the CFO asked about long-term scalability. That politician's smile. The kind that wore a mask. When the meeting wrapped, Tunde walked up to her. "Did I step on your toes, taking your slot?" he asked, not sounding the least bit sorry. "Depends," she replied, standing. "Did you come here to prove something?" He smiled. "No. Just to get comfortable in the seat I'm aiming for." Ivy leaned in just slightly. "Comfort makes people lazy, Tunde." Then she walked away. Back at home, the sun was setting in streaks of orange and purple. Ivy stood in the kitchen, peeling boiled plantain, her laptop open on the island counter, Zara humming in the background. She peeked at an incoming email. Subject: Board deliberation process, confidential. She clicked it open, scanning quickly. Her stomach twisted. All final deliberations to be held behind closed doors. Candidates will not be invited to defend themselves. Her phone buzzed just then. "Temi. Ma, I overheard something. Tunde's uncle is friends with the chairman. I thought you should know." Ivy's fingers curled tighter around the peeler. "Thank you, Temi. You did well." After the call, she walked into the living room where Zara sat plunking random notes on the piano. "Did you know Mozart composed music at 5? Ivy asked, sitting beside her. Zara grinned. "I'm 6. That means I'm late." Ivy laughed and kissed her temple, letting the tension melt for a moment. "You'll be great in your own time. Just like you." Ivy hesitated. "Even better." Zara leaned against her. "Mummy, do the other people at your work like you?" The question hit a little too close. "I don't think that matters much," Ivy said softly. Zara looked up. "But I think people who like each other work better." Ivy smiled at her daughter's confidence to say certain things. She didn't know where or how she got to know what she says, but one thing was certain to her was that she was raising a brilliant, outspoken little boss and a best friend. By 11:42 p.m. that night, Ivy sat up in bed with her laptop. She had just finalized a strategy deck when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something told her to. "Hello." "Hi," said a voice. "It's Tunde." She sat up straighter. "How did you get my number?" "I have connections, remember?" She could hear traffic in the background, faint music. Wherever he wasn't home. "What do you want, Tunde?" He was quiet for a moment. "You ever wonder what it would be like if we weren't rivals?" She blinked. "Excuse me? I'm serious. I've spent months competing with you. But, lately I keep thinking about who you are outside that office." Her heart skipped, then raced, but she made her voice stay even. "Is this a game?" "No. It's 11 p.m. and I'm on 3rd Mainland Bridge asking myself why the hell I can't get you out of my head." She said nothing. Tunde continued. "Ivy, if you win the role, I won't be angry. I'll be relieved. Because at least then, I'd know you're not out of reach because of some stupid promotion." The line stayed quiet. Her fingers tightened around the phone. "You're crazy," she whispered. He laughed softly. "We shall see about that." The call from Tunde left Ivy staring into the dark, phone still clutched in hand. She didn't believe him. Not entirely. Tunde was charming, intelligent, and calculated. He knew the right words. But if he thought she'd fall for smooth midnight whispers during the week of a board decision, he underestimated her. She wasn't made of soft things anymore. Not after being left to raise a child alone. Not after clawing her way to the top of Lagos corporate ladder without a family name to lean on. She dropped her phone, shut the laptop, and curled up beside Zara. "Good night, baby," she whispered, brushing hair from her daughter's forehead. But her mind kept whispering back, "We shall see." Next morning, Wednesday. By 6:40 a.m., Ivy was at the company gym. Her sneakers pounded the treadmill steadily as music buzzed in her ears. She wasn't running for health. She was running to stay sharp. A familiar voice pulled her attention. "Didn't expect to see you here," Tunde said, walking in with a towel slung over his shoulder. He was wearing black joggers and a tank. Calm. Unbothered. Typical. "I needed clarity," she replied, keeping pace on the treadmill. "Clarity, from what?" "Me." She gave him a sideways glance. "Tunde, I've worked too hard to be thrown off by late-night tactics." He gave a slow, guilty smile. "So you think I'm trying to distract you?" She stopped running. Stepped off. Faced him. "Aren't you?" His smile faded. "What if I'm not?" "That's worse. Because it means you have no idea what it means to fight clean." She grabbed her water bottle and walked out, leaving him standing there speechless for once. At lunchtime, her phone rang. It was a number she hadn't seen in months. A number she'd deleted a dozen times but still recognized in her bones. Zara's father. She stared at it for 3 long rings before answering. "Ivy," came the voice. Deep. Rough. Familiar. "What do you want, Io?" "I need to see Zara." Her voice turned cold. "After 2 years. You didn't even call on her last birthday." "I was dealing with things." "Zara is not a thing to deal with." Silence. Then he said the one thing that could always push her buttons, "You've poisoned her against me." Her body went cold. "I don't have time for this. I'll go to court, Ivy." And just like that, her world tilted. She dropped her fork, took a breath, and forced her voice to stay steady. "Do what you must." But inside, her walls trembled. Back at the office, 3:03 p.m. Tunde watched her from across the boardroom during a policy meeting. She wasn't her usual self. Her eyes were sharp but distant, her replies clipped. When the meeting ended, he caught up with her in the hallway. "You okay?" She didn't stop walking. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." "Tunde, not today." But he followed. "I meant what I said last night. I respect you, Ivy. I wouldn't play games like that with you." She turned. Her expression was unreadable. "And I meant what I said. Respect is not what you say. It's what you do. Leave me alone." Friday, the day was crisp, silent, tense. Ivy was at her desk when her lawyer called. Io filed a suit. Emergency hearing next week. His claiming emotional manipulation and limited access. She shut her eyes, fury swirling like storm clouds. This couldn't be happening now. Temi came in quietly. "Ma." Tunde's presentation was sent to the board this morning. Her eyes narrowed. "What presentation?" "The one from last month. The one you led." She froze. "What?" "It's been rewritten under his name. New file, same slides." He shot up. "Get me the document. Now." Within minutes, she had it open on her laptop. And there it was, her strategy deck, her numbers, her case study. All copied, polished, and rebranded. The title read, Tunde Balogun, Vision 2025, Transformation Blueprint. Her stomach twisted, but she didn't flinch. She would not be broken. She picked up her phone and typed one word, unacceptable. Then she called a contact she hadn't spoken to in months, Mrs. Doris from Legal and Ethics. "This is Ivy Okonkwo. I need a confidential meeting, now." 6:45 p.m. that same day. She left the office later than usual. Her heels clicked against the marble as she stepped out into the parking lot. The sky was already dimming, Lagos glowing with its usual blend of dust and money. To her surprise, Tunde was waiting by her car. She raised an eyebrow. "Another I miss you speech?" He held his hands up. "I didn't know they'd use your deck. I swear." She stared at him. "Didn't you submit it?" I submitted a proposal. But I didn't, I thought it was different. Thought, she repeated, voice low. Or hoped no one would notice. His jaw clenched. I'm not the enemy, Ivy. She stepped closer, just inches away. You're not my friend either. Then she got in her car and drove away. The next day, everything slowed. Zara had a school art show, and despite everything, Ivy made sure she was there. Dressed down in jeans and sneakers, she clapped with the other parents as the little ones presented their crayon masterpieces. Afterward, they stopped at a gelato shop nearby. Your drawing was amazing, Ivy said, scooping mango ice cream. I drew you. Zara beamed. You were on a stage and everyone was clapping. Ivy smiled. That's very accurate. Just then, a familiar voice called from behind. Ivy. She turned. Right beside her was Tunde. In a grey t-shirt, joggers, holding a box of takeout and a little girl of his own, maybe Zara's age, clinging to his side. This is Aria, he said. Zara waved shyly. Hi. Zara, Ivy said, this is my colleague, Mr. Tunde. The girls sat at the same table, already giggling like old friends. You never told me you had a daughter, Ivy said quietly. He sat down across from her. Didn't think I had the right to share anything personal. She hesitated. How old is she? 6. Her mother passed 2 years ago. Ivy looked up. Surprised. He didn't look away. She taught me how to be soft again. They sat in silence, 2 professionals, 2 parents, 2 rivals, 2 people slowly seeing each other with new eyes. Sunday was supposed to be rest. But for Ivy, rest hadn't existed in days. The moment she got back from Zara's art event, her phone buzzed non-stop emails, missed calls, and one reminder she couldn't ignore. Monday. 9 a.m. Court hearing. Case, Io Akinlade vs Ivy Okonkwo. Family Court, Ikoyi. She sat at her dining table late into the night, watching Zara sleep on the couch. Her daughter's soft breathing anchored her. But inside, her own was growing shallow. How had everything started spiraling? The job. The man. The past. The present. She picked up her phone and hesitated, then texted. You free to talk? Tunde replied almost instantly. Always. Later that night, she stepped out onto the balcony with a shawl over her shoulders. The Lagos skyline shimmered under the night sky, filled with lights and muted horns in the distance. I'm losing it, she said when he answered. You don't sound like someone losing it. Well, I am. Zara's father is dragging me to court. My strategy deck is now yours. And I still have to walk into the boardroom like none of it phases me. He sighed on the other end. Ivy, I'm sorry. About the presentation, genuinely. I've already sent a correction email. Told them it was your work. She closed her eyes. That won't change what they saw. It might not. But I'll keep saying the truth till someone listens. There was a pause. Do you want me to come with you tomorrow? He asked quietly. She didn't answer right away. But she didn't say no either. Monday at the courtroom, in Ikoyi. The room smelled of polished wood and air freshener trying too hard. Ivy sat upright, shoulders tense, hair in a neat bun. Beside her, her lawyer shuffled papers quietly. Io sat opposite. Clean suit. Crocodile tears. His new girlfriend pretending to be moral support. I want joint custody, he told the judge. Zara deserves to know her father. Ivy's lips twitched. The same man who ghosted them after the birth. Who popped up only when her LinkedIn announcement went viral. But before she could respond, the doors behind her clicked open. She turned, just slightly, and saw Tunde walk in, alone, in a navy blue suit. He didn't wave. He just nodded. And somehow, that was enough. After court, she found Tunde waiting outside near the parking lot. You didn't have to come, she said. You didn't say no. She sighed. Thanks. How did it go? It's been adjourned. 2 weeks. He walked with her to her car. You shouldn't be fighting this alone, Ivy. She paused before unlocking her door. You don't even know me. I know you fight hard, he said. Even when your voice shakes. That stayed with her. Tuesday, the board was buzzing about a weekend email. Tunde had officially credited Ivy for the transformation blueprint. Several members had replied in support of transparency. But the surprise. Mrs. Adeyemi, the toughest woman on the board, replied directly to Ivy. This shows grace. We're watching how you handle this. Don't disappoint. Then, another surprise. Tunde approached her desk just before closing. There's a tech innovation pitch happening Thursday. External investors. They asked for joint leads. I suggested us. Ivy raised a brow. Us. He shrugged. We do make a powerful duo. She eyed him. Is that another line? He laughed. Maybe. But this time, I'm not lying. She hesitated, then nodded. All right. Let's do it. On Thursday, the room was glass-walled and filled with Lagos elites, tech founders, politicians in disguise, and board members who carried themselves like royalty. Tunde started the pitch with charm and confidence, weaving numbers with vision. But it was when Ivy stepped forward that the room truly leaned in. She didn't smile. She delivered hard facts, real projections, and bold strategy. There was no fluff. Just fire. When it ended, there was silence, then applause. Best pitch I've seen in years, one investor muttered to another. Ivy turned to Tunde, trying not to smile. We do make a powerful duo, she admitted. He leaned closer and whispered, we shall see. Friday evening after work, Tunde invited her to a quiet lounge in Lekki. Nothing fancy, soft lights, jazz music, privacy. They sat in a corner, both out of their element but oddly at ease. You've been quiet, she said. I'm waiting for you to ask the question. What question? He smiled faintly. Why I'm helping you. She sipped her wine. Okay. Why? I admired you before I even met you, he said. And I was told you were the enemy. But the more I watched, the more I saw someone I could trust. Don't say that word unless you mean it, she said softly. I do. There was silence. Then she asked something back. Why now? He took a long breath. Because life is short. And soft places are hard to find. Watch out for part 2. Don't forget to please subscribe, like, comment and share.